And now, the time has finally arrived. Welcome to the 30th anniversary of the TGA's prestigious Silver Flame Award, brought to you by the men and women of the Tennessee Gas Association. It's time to recognize that individual whose service has made a lasting impact on the natural gas industry for all Tennesseans, homeowners, businesses, schools, and industry. For 2021, we are proud to honor a man who was a model in our industry. Tonight, we remember our friend, Jerry Snodgrass. A natural gas man to his very core, Jerry led with a quiet confidence, a positive word, a smile, and a handshake. A past president of the TGA, Jerry gave generously of his time to the natural gas industry, as well as the church he loved and the communities he served. A true gentleman of the natural gas industry, Jerry Snodgrass.
Jerry's made a huge impact in my life, just in seeing how he walked. He was just someone that you could talk to and know that he had a good spirit in himself. It was a pleasure to always work with him because you knew that he was the one that's going to step up and do the things that needed to be done.
He was just an encyclopedia of knowledge, and he brought a lot of fun to the subject, brought a lot of laughs, and he was very serious about things.
Jerry was kind of a quiet person when we would be in meetings, but if you looked at him and really studied him a little bit, got to know him, you realize those cogs were always turning in his brain. He was always thinking 2 steps ahead, and the what ifs if we did a certain thing.
Jerry wanted to know all the answers. He took meticulous notes. He wanted to make sure he understood the ins and outs, because in case he was asked a question, he wanted to make sure that he had a reasonable answer to those questions. So he was very thorough and took a lot of time in preparation.
He was the coolest cat that you've ever met. I always tell he's the greatest boss I ever had. Couldn't have met a guy that would go to the front lines for you and help you battle anything, and always had you in mind.
Jerry was always had wanted to do what was right, and I've always admired Jerry for just being the good Christian person he was.
He was easygoing. He would treat you like family. And we considered him family, not just friend. He was considered as family, and he treated everybody in the gas department the same way.
He looked you right straight in the eyes when he was talking to you, and I think he just had a deep concern for others.
He's kind of like salt. You sprinkle salt on something to make it better, and that's what Jerry was. Everywhere he went, he made things better.
He was very sincere, common sense, what you see is what you get kind of person. He was consistent, always happy no matter what his health issues were, how he was feeling. He is somebody that made everyone better just by being around him.
Jerry's a guy that was always sort of, I won't say the life of the party. He wasn't really a party guy, but he was also a guy that everybody enjoyed being around, right? Jerry Snodgrass was always fun to be around and talk to and visit with, and just, some of our staff meetings are local. It's a C-level staff meeting wise. When Jerry's there, something was a little bit controversial, Jerry's always lighting at the moment. He's the kind of guy you always want to have around.
To work with Jerry was a pleasure, I guess is the best way to put it. He was always willing to go that extra mile to help with whatever we needed.
Jerry was one of those, he always meted you with a smile and a handshake, and you knew it was genuine when he asked you how you were doing, how was your family, how's business, and I just always appreciated that about Jerry.
Jerry's one, though, that he liked to work in the background. He liked to stay in the shadows, and he just, was one that did not really want to be recognized.
When you're in the presence of Jerry Snodgrass, you're the most important person. He's not. He never wants the spotlight to be on him. He wants you to be the focus. That just shows the way he is. He's always been a hard worker, but he does it behind the scenes. He never wanted the spotlight.
He brought energy, and he was so positive, and when you walked away from Jerry after a conversation or spending a few minutes with him, you just felt better.
Jerry was an old school, the model of an old school natural gas man. And thinking about it, Jerry would give you that little smile and look at you and say, model, and make some joke about calling him a model. And then he'd make a joke about calling him old. But Jerry was the model of a natural gas man. He knew the industry from the ditch up.
Jerry could go to work, and at 8 o'clock in the morning, he could be riding on a backhoe, putting in a service line to a new customer. An hour or so later, he'd go down to the office and do natural gas purchasing and administrative work that's required in a utility. Later in the day, he'd get in his truck and go to Nashville and moderate a Tennessee Gas Association board meeting as its chairman, president. And then he'd make it back to Lebanon in time to do choir practice at the Cumberland Presbyterian Church that he loved.
Jerry had many contributions to our industry. He served as president of the Middle Tennessee Gas Distributors Association. He served on many TGA committees, such as Membership Committee, the Distribution Operations Committee, the Annual Meeting Committee, and the Education Steering Committee. He served as a director of TGA. He served as second vice president for TGA, the first vice president, and served as president. Jerry's theme for his presidential year was "We're not singing the blues anymore," which is typical Jerry, the positive outlook Jerry always had.
When I think how he contributed to the natural gas industry and the Tennessee Gas Association, he was a true gas guy. And he really meant a lot to the association. I feel like when you saw Jerry, you had a great conversation with him one-on-one, because Jerry always made you feel at ease and appreciated, and like you're talking to a friend.
Jerry Snodgrass was respected very well by his peers, other people in the industry, for the work that he did here at the City of Lebanon, and also the work he did through the Tennessee Gas Association.
The contribution Jerry had, I think he would be most proud of, is Starting Together, Giving to Another. That's the program where at TGA conferences, donations are collected and they're given to a charitable organization in the community in which the conference is held.
Jerry was big believer in community service and giving back, and that was fit his personality perfect.
Giving back to the community, giving back to others was just second nature to him.
You could see Jerry light up when he talked about his family, whether it was Diane and what was going on at MTSU, or his boys. Whatever his boys were into, he supported them. I know over the years he had, one of his sons was into coon hunting, so he was into coon hunting. One of his boys was a big baseball player and played baseball in college, so I actually went to a couple of his games and sat with Jerry, and just the passion he had for his family and supporting them.
God and family, baseball, and natural gas, and probably in that order. Jerry was proud to talk about his family and his love for God. He talked about it often. Baseball. I mean, if you spent more than 10 minutes with Jerry, you knew he loved baseball.
I had the honor of preaching Jerry's funeral, and I listed some of the things that he had done down through the years, and it was quite a list. I mean, Jerry, there was a time where he was interim choir leader, music minister. He was a deacon in the church. He's taught Sunday school class. Been very much a part of our small group ministry. He's led children's choirs. Was chair of the Buildings and Grounds ministry team at our church. Helped out with our senior group, which is known as the Teenagers. Led Vacation Bible School, children's choirs, Christmas programs, you name it. If it was a spot in the church to serve, Jerry plugged in and got it done.
Well, he worked with the Salvation Army. He, at Christmas, he enjoyed being a bell ringer, and he worked hard to take up money for them.
Jerry was a real good friend of mine. I was sick and had cancer, and I was sitting around the house one morning, and just a normal Saturday morning, and the phone rings, and it's Jerry on the other end of the phone, and he calls me. And he says, "What have you been doing?" I said, "I've just been sitting around, you know how it is, just doing the same old thing." He said, "You want to go for a ride?" And I said, "Yeah." And that was the best thing anybody could ever done for me. I was bored.
He was like a big brother to me. He called me little sister. I have texts still on my city phone from him where he was checking on me back last fall because I had COVID, and he'd heard that I did, and he's just checking on me, and he started out by, "Little sis, I hear you're sick." And so he's one of those people that we just miss.
He took us in as his own. My husband took Jerry as his brother. He said that he never loved another man this way.
Jerry and I both lost sons to death, and after that, he and I built a relationship that I hope nobody else will ever have, because we called each other almost daily just to check on each other. And I remember when I found out his son had passed, mine died before his did, and he called me and checked on me and doggone it if he didn't lose his son. And I went over, I was going to console Jerry at his house, and he ended up consoling me.
He was sure, absolutely sure of what the end result was going to be, and he handled it with such integrity and grace that you just admire that.
The last conversation I had with Jerry, I called him to discuss a TGA issue. I wanted to get his input, his insight. And in our normal conversations, we always talked about friends, family, what's going on at work, and those things. And Jerry told me that he'd had a health issue arise, and but he had a very optimistic outlook. His doctor had a treatment plan, and they were treating it. And he and his doctor were both optimistic he'd make a complete recovery. But the next thing he told me was, he said, "Look, I'm in no hurry to leave this world and my family behind." He said, "But brother, I'm a Christian and I'm a winner either way." And that's Jerry in a nutshell. That sums up Jerry completely. And today, brother, you're a winner.
Jerry is a very worthy recipient of this Silver Flame Award. It is the first time we've had a posthumous award. We know he's going to be looking down on us as we do this, and we hope it pleases him. He never sought recognition or awards, but there's no one more deserving.
I'm so tickled that Jerry is being honored with the Silver Flame Award. I'm so happy for his family and his mom, his sweet mother, and Diane, and his boys, and I know that they're proud of him, but I hope they know how proud of him we all are.
Jerry, the person I knew, the man I knew, didn't do anything for awards. He did it because it was right. He did it because he believed in it and because he had passion. And so I think it's very fitting for somebody that doesn't seek recognition and doesn't seek awards to be recognized for the unselfishness and the quiet leader and the successful leader that he really was.
Ladies and gentlemen, the 2021 TGA Silver Flame Award is presented posthumously to a real winner, someone who left this world a better place than he found it. God, family, baseball, and natural gas. We salute and remember our great friend, Jerry Snodgrass.